Have you ever thought about doing that? All strategic readers do that. You're just making predictions. I don't really care to read about airbags, or, oh, that's something I really want to check out. We're going to practice that skill when it comes to these welding codes. So I made some predictions. This thing is called an anticipation guide. These things have been around for a while. Take one of these things, pass that around. Take one of those, pass it around. All I want you to do first is I want you to put your name on the top of it. And I want you to put the date up there. The date is the 20th. If you didn't know that, it's written on the board. Now, don't open your books. I don't want you to peek. These are 11 predictions that I made about codes governing welding, or what we're going to read about today. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to read each one of those statements. Don't mark T's and F's because they're not true and false. I don't know how they're going to turn out yet. It depends on you. If you believe that it's true and accurate and will remain true throughout this entire lesson, I want you to put a check mark there. So in other words, I want you to do this. If you believe it's true, if you don't believe it's true, leave it blank. Don't use T's and F's. Check the ones you believe, leave it blank if you don't. Go ahead and do that now. Make your predictions. Anyone need more time on their predictions? All right, here's what we're going to do now. Let's see. You three are going to work together. So you're going to be one team. You three are going to work together. I need you to do me a huge favor. Slide over there. You're going to work with those two, and you're going to be a group of three. You three are going to work together, and you three are going to work together. All right, so if you want to spread out a little bit, that's okay. You don't need to. You just need to know it's probably going to get a little loud in here. Here's what I want you to do. Nobody has to be right or wrong. You don't have to agree or disagree. I just want you to share for just the next couple of minutes. Why did you check the ones you checked? Why did you leave some of them blank? And just talk. I'm going to walk around, listen in. Just because I walk up to your group doesn't mean you need to stop talking. I don't want anything. I'm just being nosy. So don't worry about me. Take a couple of minutes with your little group of three. Talk about those things. Why did you check the ones you checked? Why did you leave them blank? Go ahead and do that now.
I didn't check that one.
Which one? The second one? There are 4 groups that create welding regulations. You don't think that's true? How many do you think there are?
A lot more than 4.
You think there's more than 4? Oh, okay.
Good welds can save lives, like roller coasters and stuff. I guess it makes sense. Seems like if you read the module, it could make your life a little easier in the years to come. I'll check that one as well.
You can take a drive-by and see what they checked. And don't help them. It's interesting whenever you look at your paper compared to their paper. And I wrote those and created them so that they'd have to argue about them. So if you think...
Oh, that's why I raised that.
Did you just uncheck that or something? Or did you
No,
change your mind?
no.
You changed your mind? Okay, that's cool. You can do that.
I checked yes.
Which one are you guys talking about now? 6?
Yeah.
You checked it, you checked it? Oh, you all 3 checked it. So you think all the codes are broken down into sections so you can easily find what you need. You guys done already? Which one did you talk about last? Do you have any that you agree on, any you disagree on? Oh, I see some disagreement already. He's got a lot more check marks than you do.
Well, he's quiet, and he hasn't woke up yet, so this might have not have been that dynamic.
We use the theory of random grouping. They'll be okay. All right, everyone. I need you to refocus with me, please. Now, you had a couple minutes to talk about those 11 things. You might not have got to them all, and that's perfectly okay. We're going to go to the next step. All right, so let's just say, and I'm making all this up, this is not the answer key, so don't think that it is. Let's just say that you checked 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, all the even ones. Now, we're going to go into this reading in this book, and you're going to go in here kind of like a lawyer. You're going to have to go find me some evidence that supports whether or not those things should be checked or not. So you think a certain way, this has got to back you up. So let's just say, right off the bat, when you get into this reading on page, I'm making up the page number 2, we're on page 100. And as soon as you read page 100, you read something, you realize, oh man, I think I was wrong about number 1. I think I should check that. Here's how you fix it. Just add more check marks. But whatever you find in the text that makes you think about it, I want you to tell me where that happens, and here's how you'll do it. So on page 100 in the first paragraph, you should be able to find me evidence for all 11 of these, whether or not they should be checked. Now, here's how I want you to change your mind. I don't want you to rub a hole in the paper because you used an ink pen. I don't want you to scribble it out. This is how I want you to change your mind. Let's say you read on page 102, and you're in a couple of paragraphs there, and all of a sudden you're thinking, okay, I was wrong about number 2. I need to fix that. Here's how you fix it. Change my mind. Those 2 paragraphs. Number 3 shouldn't be checked. And I was right. It's on 104 in the second paragraph. So I'll be looking for this on your papers as I walk around. All good lawyers have evidence to support what they believe. I need you to be a good lawyer today. All right, so keep your anticipation out where you can see it. Let's take a look at 6.1 in your NCCR book, weld quality. Now, how many of you preview stuff like this before you ever try to read it? Awesome. Tell me about that. What do you do?
I just skim through it.
Skim through it. Help me understand what a skim would look like to you. What would you skim for?
I don't know, important information.
How do you know it's important?
It just looks important.
Because it looks important.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. What do you do?
Me?
Yeah, did you put your hand up too?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I just kind of look through the book and read certain sections that catch my eye, or, you know, have like the words that I'm looking for. Or like, I mean, if I was looking for the American Society of Mechanical Engineering, well, what's that?
ASME. Okay, so you look around the subtitles a little bit. Most high school students, if I said we were going to work on this module today, this is what I catch you doing all across the United States. See if you can figure out what I'm doing.
Count the pages.
Boy, you guys got that real. How many of you count the pages to see how long it is? Be honest, it's okay. I used to do that when I was your age too, because nobody gave me any skills to deal with this stuff. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about what you guys said, but there's really strategic readers. If you're going to preview text, I want you to look at the titles. I want you to look at the introduction. I want you to look at the subtitles, the pictures. This book has phenomenal pictures in it. A picture in this book's worth 1,000 words. Your friends will pick on you and say, "You looking at the pictures again?" Say, "Yep. A picture in this book is worth 1,000 words." If you understand what the picture's telling you, especially in welding and blueprint reading, it's thousands of words you don't have to read. Anything that's bold or italicized, I guarantee you it'll be on a quiz, it'll be on a test, it'll be on a certification exam. Stop and look at the bold and italicized words. So let's preview this real quickly together, and then we'll get back to our anticipation guide. So the introduction is right there. It says, quality is an important aspect of a welder's job. A weld that can pass or be acceptable for one welding application may not be acceptable for another. Acceptable welding criteria have been established in codes and standards. Several codes govern welding activities, qualification requirements, and tests can be performed on weldments to determine and identify various weld imperfections. The following sections will identify and explain applicable codes, various weld imperfections, and their cause, types, and welding testing. welder qualification test requirements. The importance of quality workmanship will also be discussed along with typical site quality organizational structures for ensuring that quality welds are achieved. That's the intro. Always read the intro before you do anything else. Now there's a subtitle, Codes Governing Welding. American Society of Mechanical Engineers, ASME Boiler and Pressure Vessels Code, Code for Pressure Piping, Boiler and Pressure Vessel Code, all italicized. I'm just picking them out because they're italicized. Section 2 is the material specification. Section 4 or 5 is non-destructive examinations. Take a look at the next page. Section 9, welding and brazing qualifications. There's a code for pressure piping. There's power piping, a code for pressure piping, boiler and pressure vessel codes. It seems to be a lot of codes. American Welding Society. AWS, Structural Welding Codes, American Petroleum Institute, the Standards for Welding of Pipelines and Related Facilities, American National Standards Institute, ANSI is bold, Marine Codes, Guide for Steel Hull Welding, Specifications for Underwater Welding are all there in 250, 63, Guide for Aluminum Hull Welding, Basic Elements of Welding Codes. We're going to stop right there. All right, so we read as far as we need to go. I lied. We're going to do one more little section. 3.0, Basic Elements of Welding Codes. Welding Procedure Qualification. Procedure Qualification. And Procedure Qualification Records, a PQR, all bold. 6.4, there's a picture of a welding procedure specification or a WPS. All kinds of good stuff in there. Imagine how many words you'd have to read to figure that thing out. There's a Procedure Quality Record or a PQR on 6.5. Welding Performance Qualifications, 3.20, and Welding Operator Qualifications. At 4.00, we're going to stop there. We're not going to read that. So we don't want to read about weld discontinuities and their causes just yet. We're going to stop there. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a look at that. And honestly, if I take the pictures out of this thing, it's about 3 or 4 pages of text. That's it. Go in there like a lawyer and find me some evidence that supports or negates those statements that are there and show me the page and paragraph for where that happens. Now, please don't distract yourself or anybody else while you're practicing. If you happen to be one of these, or if you're a notorious pen clicker, don't do that. It's distracting. If there's anything in here, though, that you don't get, you raise your hand. I'll come help you right away. Find me some evidence. All right, let's see what we can do. So, what's that say? There are 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you could say 6.1, you might say it's the right-hand side, and then 1.2, second paragraph. Or you could even say it was the bullets if you want to, as long as you can find it later. That can't be wrong. That's good work, though. Is that focused?
Yeah.
Okay, so this lesson plan is really previewing the text and an anticipation guide. That's all I'm looking for. Okay? Good. This is my lesson plan. That's what I'm looking for. We previewed the text, we did an anticipation guide. That's it. Not rocket science, not reinventing the wheel. I don't need 12 pages. That's it. Take a picture of one of their anticipation guides, send me that, you're done. It's interesting because they all thought this when they said, oh, kid says, oh, there's a lot more than that. But now they're looking at the bullets on 6.1. There's 4.
Yeah.
Oh, this is perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Nice job. Are there 4? Are there more than 4? Or what'd you find on there? Because there's the 4 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So you should probably check that one, right? Number 2. And your evidence is in the right place. It's right here. This is perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Nice job. Perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Good job. This is perfect. You got it, man. This is perfect. Exactly what I'm looking for. Don't forget your page and paragraph. It'll help you later. It's perfect. That's what I'm looking for. You should be able to find something to negate or even this one. You probably be able to find something for that. If you don't believe it, you'll be able to find something. This is perfect. Nice job. That's perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Good job. This is perfect. That's what I'm looking for. Nice. That says this module will favor one set of rules over the others. Well, what do you think?
So we just pick a random module.
Well, you got to have some evidence that supports it. Let's see. ASME gets this much. AWS gets this much. API gets this much. ANSI gets this much. Marine codes get all that. If I was just going by what they told me, which one's the bigger chunk? Looks to me like the Marine codes have a lot more to tell me about than the others. Seems to be. That would be my argument. That makes sense? You could just go by the amount of text that's there.
Okay.
Hey. OMG, don't look now, but the welders are reading. Oh.
They have pretty good classes here.
Well, they're all good kids. They just need to find a, well,
No,
no, that's not true.
Intentionally do that.
That's not true. You didn't get lucky. Kids come here for one of two reasons. It's what you do in here, and it's the guy that does it.
Oh, okay.
So if you are getting good kids, you're reaping what you sow. You deliver a quality program, you have integrity, you have credibility, and you get good kids. If you show this place as a place you can come hang out in the booth for 3 hours and do nothing, that's the kid you attract. You're attracting the kid you want to because of what you do. That's on you. That's a good thing. So, what do you got there? That's perfect. You're doing it. You got it. That's perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Perfect. Where'd you come up with that one? 614, the hot tip. Oh, it is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Because it said applications.
Could be lost. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's good stuff.
I don't know what happened.
If everyone reads this module, why don't we use it next? You tell me. That's up to you. Do you think that would be true? And what evidence would you cite for that? You didn't check it yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, no.
So the question is, knowing if you know these codes and you know what good welds are and what bad welds are, and you know how not to make them, will that make class easier next year or harder? Will your welds pass AWS certification? Would they pass Marine codes? Would they pass ANSI or ASME?
Where it says if you're not sure, you should always ask. Do I need the book to tell me that?
Does it say that? Actually, there's somewhere in there. Yeah, you probably do. I know that's in here somewhere, but talking to your supervisor, it might be in one of these notes, or it might be talking to you about. Where are you in? What statement are you on? So it's going to be somewhere near the end because I kind of did them chronologically as I went through it. So don't go into 4, but it might be here, or that's just showing you a WPS what it looks like. Might be in there somewhere. What's that say? Make sense?
All the codes are broken down into sections of music and
All right, I apologize if you didn't finish. We're going to go on to the next step. Here's what I want you to do now. I want you to meet with your team again that you met with before and you talked. Last time, all I said was you have a casual conversation. You don't have to agree. This time, you're going back to your group as a lawyer. You now have page and paragraph evidence that supports what you think. In your group of 3, I need you to agree on every one of those statements, should they be checked or not. You got to convince the people in your group that you're right. If they have it checked, I want you to convince them to uncheck it. If they don't have it checked, I want you to convince them to check it. But use the text. Don't just say, I don't feel like arguing with you today, I'll check it. Make them convince you that they're right. I need you to reach agreement on all 11 within your team of 3. All right, go ahead and work toward that now. So make sure your page and your evidence, check your evidence and see. It may come from different places, and that's okay, but just understand what each other's thinking. All right, so when you guys look for your evidence, it might come from different places, and that's perfectly okay. But just make sure you're on the same wavelength and idea for why you're checking things or why you're not. Same thing, when you guys look at your evidence, it could come from different places. Just kind of make sure it lines up, and you should have something for all 11, so help each other out. All right, so when you guys go through this, you got a lot of good evidence there. Make sure you have evidence for all 11. Share where you found it and help each other. About 7. Now let's check out this stuff right here. Maybe right in here. Keep going, you're fine. That's all I need you to send me.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
Hopefully I don't have it on selfie mode. Take a picture.
Yeah. That's it. I'm not.
We want them to fill out that.
Right, so you're gonna send me this, you're gonna send me that, you're gonna send me a picture. That's all I need. Don't reinvent the wheel. I'm not looking for a dissertation. All I'm looking for is what their work looks like.
He's not looking for a V2 teaching numbers with fun.
I think the state should adapt this
as their teaching.
read it. I know you said I don't want
No, I have. I've already been through the VTC. No, I've been through the Pennsylvania version.
Yeah.
I've written 14-page lesson plans based on Madeline Hunter's 9 points of lesson plan. Write down everything you're going to say. I've already been there and done it. And I'm not going to step on their toes, but
yes.
it could probably be better.
What if you agree on something? What, like, just like how you feel about it? Like,
Well, you get first thing, you can all 3 check it.
if everyone reads this module, welding would be easier next year.
Well, why do you think so? You're all 3 not checking it, or you're all 3 going to check it? What do you? So if we know codes and we know discontinuities and we know how to check to see if welds are good or bad or
It'll
indifferent,
make it easier for when you're welding.
well, if you weld something and you know what it takes to pass inspection, then you're probably going to, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I changed my mind after I just.
So you can go ahead and check it, and you can literally cite the whole thing if you want to. So just say module 6. What you guys thinking? You guys agreeing on everything? Well, you got them all checked except number 4 and 11 now?
And 7.
4, welders should rely heavily on WS to perform their job. You're saying that's not checked? Did you guys read that stuff about the WPS and all this stuff? You guys checked all that stuff? You may want to look into that a little bit. What are you guys thinking? Everything except 4 and 11.
Yep.
Some rules are more important than others when welding.
Oh, where's that one?
Number 4.
Oh, yeah. Couldn't find any information.
Yeah, neither could I. I mean, kind of got to figure in all rules are got to be equally important. Everything from wearing safety glasses, you know, make sure you're in a clear area,
Okay.
If you don't feel right, then it's alright.
So you three are saying everything except 4 and 11, right? And you're in agreement? All right, well, let's see what happens. All right, everyone, take a look up here. I got a group that's at consensus already, so we're ready to go to the next step. Now we all have to agree on all 11 of these. I got one group in this room that says you should have checked everything on your anticipation guide with the exception of number 4 and number 11. Now, if we're all in agreement, that's awesome. We're going to go on to the next step, but if there's some difference of opinion, if your group sees something up there right now that's checked or not checked, that you would like to discuss, now we have the big trial, and all the lawyers come into the room, and we got to see where we are. So we're saying, this group is saying some rules are more important than others when welding. That's not true. It is not supported in the text. And 11, if everyone reads this module, welding will be easier next year. Anybody see anything of those that are checked or not checked they would like to discuss? Which one? 11. You want 11 checked. All right, I'm going to come here first for the argument. Tell me why, or share with everybody with your outside voice, why didn't you guys check number 11? Then I'm going to come here for an argument to check it, and then if anybody else wants to jump in, they can jump in. Tell me what your thinking is on 11. And I'm not saying you're wrong, I just want you to help me.
We just didn't see it anywhere in the text. You know, we could've
So because it didn't jump off the page at you like in the chapter questions, it's like that's the way school's supposed to be. You're not,
Yeah, exactly. You understand.
school's supposed to jump off the page at you. And it didn't do that.
Nope.
Okay, all right, I'm going to come here for the counter. All right, what do you guys think? You guys want to check it. All right, tell us why. Help me understand.
For 11, it's more of an opinion based, but like, if you know like what's a good weld, what's not a good weld, and what will pass certifications and what won't, then when you're in the booth, you know what to look for, whether you're doing it right or wrong. So it could make it easier for whether you're doing it right or wrong, whether it's certified.
So if you're switching over from this year, you're probably doing a lot of maybe shielded metal arc welding, maybe a little bit of MIG welding. Next year, you're going to start talking about gas tungsten arc welding, or you're going to start talking about aluminum welding. Do you think knowing that there are different codes for certain things, will that help you or not? I guess that's what you're saying. If I know this stuff is true, whenever my teacher teaches me things and wants things done a certain way, he's not just doing that because he's a bad guy. He's doing it because there's a code and he's making you follow the codes. That's basically what you're saying?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that argument?
I think what he said was pretty okay. I don't see nothing wrong with it.
So can we check 11 now based on that or not?
Yeah.
Everybody else okay with checking 11 or not? All right, then check 11. The only one left not checked is number 4. Anybody have any evidence or anything that says some rules are more important than others when welding? Anybody got it? Anybody want that one checked? Are we good? Is it good the way it is? All right, awesome. Here's what I want you to do. First of all, let me ask you this. How many by practicing this skill of predicting think that helped you get more out of the text because you were looking for specific things, and if I just said read this and do a worksheet, anybody think this helped? Here's what I want you to do. Close your book. Flip your anticipation guide over to the back side. You guys ever done a free write before? Awesome. We're going to do one today. Here's how it works. I'm going to set my trusty little timer for 2 minutes. Here's what I want you to do for me. Your pencil has to move the entire time, and I'll write one with you. I want you to tell me as much as you can about what you learned today from that book and about welding codes. Pencil has to move the entire time. If you can't think of to write, rewrite the last thing over again, but every pencil will move, including mine. Don't stop until the timer goes off. Tell me what you know about welding, what you learned in class today. Ready?
Are you going to be reading these?
They need to be legible. I'm going to be reading them, and maybe your teacher, yeah. All right, ready? Go.
About to the application of work that I'm doing, like welding.
Okay, awesome. You guys want to hear mine? Mine says, so today in class we learned about 4 groups that make welding codes: ASME, ANSI, AWS, and API. There are codes for metal and aluminum welding. Marine codes address underwater welding and welding of the ship's hull. There are destructive and non-destructive tests to show if a weld is acceptable or not. That's as far as I got in 2 minutes. All right, make sure your name's on those. Pass them this way. All right, check this out. Shuffled like a deck of cards. No names. I just want to show you how smart you are. It'll be okay. This says, I learned today that when welding, there are many different codes to be followed, many more than what I was aware. I also learned weld quality can be based off of how you are following the code. I also learned that welding can save lives, and that's a very big deal. Today I learned a few things from the textbook. First being that there are 4 groups that create welding regulations. I learned that there is a less boring way to read a textbook like this one. During this lesson, this guy's testing my bifocals here, my readers. During this lesson, I have learned a lot about welding codes. Much of this information I didn't know before. I think the day was successful. As for learning more strategies and how to read boring text, and also in the learning aspect. Overall, I think this is going to help me in the booth. Thank you very much for letting me teach your class today. My objective today was you're going to be able to explain the importance of the WPS welding codes to industry standards. Are we on the way to meeting our objective? We don't know everything about the WPS yet, but you're going to learn what a valuable thing that is as you keep moving forward, and everything that you do with welding is going to be driven by what that WPS tells you to do. All right? Thank you very much for letting me teach your class today.
Thank you.
You guys were every bit as good as you said to be. We're done.